Aaron Rodgers did his thing. I thought, and let me go through these stats real quick. Aaron Rodgers, 18 and 22 for 200. The biggest improvement, obviously, was the run game. Gainwell stepping up in a huge way for Jaylen Warren with 19 carries and 99 yards, and also being a factor in the pass game with 6 catches. And finally, we got DK the ball, and we see what happens when that man-child, that manimal, whatever you want to call him, when DK gets the ball, great things happen.
You see 5 catches, 126, and 4 of those, 4 for 122 in the first half. And the Vikings, they're aggressive defense, so you got to use the speed against them and be able to figure out a way to counter that. But when they came out in that third series and Minnesota was there, and this is why you kind of got to give a little bit of the shift in emotions, just that little eye candy, because all you're asking for is one person to bite the cheese. And sure enough, they went from a right formation, defensive left, motioned across, and now the linebackers had to flip-flop, and you can see a hesitation by the linebacker there. He hesitated. DK was able to get right behind him in the crease. Aaron hits him on the money, and he goes for 80. So when that play happened, that softened up that defense from the Vikings and allowed the Steelers to now be able to get that running game going, because Minnesota was not as aggressive. Normally, you run to set up the pass, but in this particular case, the pass set up the run.
I thought Arthur Smith did a beautiful job of marrying those two together, like you mentioned, but also adding a few wrinkles in the formations that he took to the field. Spencer Anderson, who we haven't seen this whole year, who I think had a really good preseason because he took all the first team reps at left guard in Isaac's place. I thought he came in and did a fantastic job as the 6th O-lineman. He had 19 snaps total. And the big surprise, Darnell Washington, 48 snaps versus Pat Freiermuth, I think 16 or 15, right. And Jonnu had 16, and even Connor got in there. So all the tight ends were used this weekend. We have been hammering the nail on when Arthur Smith is going to use. We use the tight ends like we think he should. We kept 4 tight ends. We got a really good backup lineman, obviously, in Spencer Anderson, and come in and could be a 6th O-lineman. I thought that really helped even out that Vikings defense so that Flores couldn't be as exotic as he wanted to, because what happened was we were able to run the ball. And I think we have a go-to play. We have a bread and butter play. That toss zone worked so well yesterday. And I thought it was a great wrinkle that Arthur Smith did. Previously, I hated when we ran the toss because we would always pull the tackle, have the guard blocked down. And for whatever reason, we just could not make that play work the last year when we ran it with Najee Harris. But now that he implemented some zone blocking with the toss, it's working to perfection. And I thought it was a great thing to see. And it gave that young O-lineman some confidence as that game continued.
Yeah, and I think that was, you hit it right on the point, on the head there. Anderson, Washington, those guys, they were able to now, beef up that line of scrimmage. The running game got going. You mentioned Gainwell with 99 yards. But anytime when you get the running game going, offensive line, they hold their blocks. It's probably a 3 or 4 yard gain. But when you start to see the 6, 7, 10-yard gains that are happening, that lets you know the tight ends are in it, and also receivers are downfield to the next level blocking their guys. Right. And that's why you were able to see Gainwell be able to escape some of the running lanes that were there. And even to the point of even DK Metcalf's touchdown pass, that catch and run, and literally Calvin Austin, he was the one downfield and made the block at the 5-yard line to slow his defender down, allowing DK to run that guy over to get into the end zone. So everybody was all in the same accord. But one guy that you've been talking about for a long time, Northwestern's finest, Ben Skoranek, that guy blocked his tail off in there, man. You've been speaking praise about him for the past few weeks, and he's delivering on film.
He is a football player, man. That's what he is. He plays wide receiver. He wears the number 15. He catches balls every now and again, but he is a football player. One of the plays that exemplified exactly what he is as a football player is on the goal line on Kenneth Gainwell's touchdown. We have outside zone, and he's supposed to crack down on safety. He blocks the wrong person. He blocks Ivan Pace, but he blocks him clear across to the other side of the line of scrimmage and tries to get some even after we scored, try to get some extra, And so that's the kind of stuff that is contagious. Not only DK and his physicality and Ben Skoranek, who's blocking downfield and taking out all pro linebackers along with him. Those are the plays that win games. Those grindy type plays, give your team an attitude, give your team an identity, and the offensive line builds off of that. Aaron Rodgers, I know he loves seeing that, and so it was really good to see Fort Wayne's finest. I told you last time we went to the Super Bowl, there was a Fort Wayne person, and we haven't been back since a Fort Wayne player was on the team. I'm just letting you know. Just letting you know. We ain't been to the show since a Fort Wayne player was on the team. So
I think when you get back, and I know I keep saying Northwest, Fort Wayne, I think he's more of
no,
a
he's
Notre Dame
Northwestern
guy.
too. He went to Northwestern his first 4 years and then took a grad year at Notre Dame.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, but I think, to that point on that play, intuition, kicks in, right? And sometimes common sense outweighs, what you're seeing. And from that play, it looked like the linebacker was going to impact that play more than the safety did. And that's why he went and knocked off the linebacker. But who I give credit for is Broderick Jones coming around. And as he's looking to get up to the next level, he's like, wow, my guy's is already blocked. And he just gets skinny through the hole to allow Gainwell to actually get into the end zone. Heads up play by Broderick Jones there, realizing, hey, that's not my defender, but I don't have enough time to sit in the hole and clog it up. I got to get out the way.
Yeah. All in all, those first few series. Now we started out rough. I know that very first play of the game, the defensive line got into a weird look. I think we had two eyes, and there was a linebacker mugged up. Zach made the wrong call. D lineman came free and sacked Aaron the very first play of the game. And I know Steeler Nation, because I know I was like, oh, here we go again. We on this same BS that we've been on the first 3 weeks. But no, it was really comforting and positive to see how they responded after a not so positive start.
And I think, it's one thing to practice against looks that you may have seen in the past 3 weeks, but there's always going to be a wrinkle in there that you just not had prepared for when you're preparing for the game. And that look happened on the first one. And Minnesota typically are 4 down front. And when you look back and identify, it looked like they were trying to figure out who was who. They got confused, and you can see the defensive lineman squeeze through and was able to create the sack on the very first play. But watching it on film, of course, it's easier to do so when you're doing it at aerial level. It looked like maybe if you identified as a 3 down front, and then from there now allowed you to set everything else up. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. That's why guys ran through scot-free. But that's what happened on the first two, on the first series. But ultimately, it went into the second series. But that's why when you hit that 80-yard play in the third possession there, now they back off. And we didn't see that front anymore throughout the rest of the game, all because you hit that one play.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I think the biggest takeaway, and I'll dig more into it during the trench report, was to see how the old linemen rebounded after a bad start, because that could really get into your head with the way things have been going, the stuff that's been said about them in the news. I know they've heard it. I don't think they're necessarily reading it, but it's hard not to hear it. I've been one of the big detractors out there. I've been criticizing, but it was really good to see them rebound after giving up a sack on the first play, because it could have gone downhill in a quick way. But also communication has picked up big time. I saw Isaac, the quiet one, the ninja who doesn't say anything, pointing and telling Zach, no, we got a linebacker, we got to go over there. And protection was perfect. On that pass play to DK Metcalf, it's amazing what 8 can do when he has a clean pocket. That pocket was absolutely clean. And he threw that picture-perfect pass in that window to DK so he can run and take off like he did. So it was really positive to see the O-line pick their game up and rebound after the first 3 weeks weren't good, being truthful, and the start of the game wasn't good, but they finished, and that's what you want to see.
And that's ultimately how you want to finish. And as they got to the end of the game, of course, things didn't got a little closer to when everybody anticipated. You could see Aaron Rodgers was a 10-point lead at that particular point. The Steelers were on the 1 or 2 yard line, and they wanted to go for it in that particular situation. And Aaron was ticked off because they needed to finish to not put the defense even in that situation. I understand what the metrics and numbers all look like, but if they were able to put that ball into the end zone, obviously, we're not talking about how close of a game this is. So that's going to be something they're going to work on during the bye week.
Yeah, we would be remiss if we didn't bring up the end of the game struggles that we had. I want to know what you think, because when I saw it right away, first of all, I thought it was a scary decision to even think for a field goal. I thought we should have been, if we got it down to the 3 yard line, I think it was, we score a touchdown, game over. Field goal puts us up 2 field goals and a touchdown at that point, 13. But a touchdown absolutely makes it a 3-point score game. So I thought We played a little scary. I didn't even like to, even though we were running the ball well, I didn't like the play call on that fourth and three or three and goal to go, because I thought you have a Hall of Fame quarterback. You have DK Metcalf. You have Mount Washington, which you said Mount Washington was going to score this week, Chuck. And I thought that maybe that was going to be the chance for him to score. But you have these red zone options. And I thought this is a crucial game. This is a perfect time to put your Hall of Fame quarterback in a position to win the game for you. And now I can't really fault the decision in hindsight, because we were running the ball well, particularly on that drive, and we almost scored, to be truthfully honest. But I would have preferred the ball be in Aaron Rodgers' hands at the end of the game.
No, I agree with you there. Now, I did talk about Darnell Washington scoring. They tried to set it up, but when they set up the formation, the corner immediately fell off. It was waiting for the jump ball. That's why Aaron didn't even throw it when he had the opportunity. But again, to your point, I want an RPO option for Aaron. When you get in that box, allowing him, hey, I'm either running or I'm going to check out of this, and making sure that you get him into the right play. Now, if they score, we're not talking about this, but they didn't. That's why we are. You have to give Aaron, and of course, that linebacker shot the gap, caught the offensive line off guard, and he was able to penetrate and make the tackle and cause that a lot of that that pileup that happened. That to not allow Gainesville to get into the end zone. So again, it just has to be more of an RPO option in that particular manner. I'm okay with them going for it. Just give me a better option.
Right. Last piece of offense before we move over to the defensive side of the ball. Do you agree with punting the ball on 4th and inches? Because I'm a lineman. I always want to go for it, obviously. But there's a lot of things in factor, I guess, from a head coaching perspective. But simply put, I think if this Dan Campbell, he's going for it. No questions asked. 4th and 1. Coach Tomlin has been he'll go for it one time, and other times he won't. Don't really know his philosophy around it. What do you think we should have did? Do you think that was the right call to punt the ball?
Yeah, I understand it. Obviously, it's easier because they won, but I understand the situation, because if you do attempt that field goal, it's about a 59-yard field goal. You make it, like we all expect Boz to make it, great. But if for whatever reason they block it, because remember earlier in the game, they blocked that field goal situation coming off of Pat Fryermuth's left side. So again, did that play into the mindset of Tomlin not, going for the field goal? Or if you miss it, regardless of the block, if you miss it, now they get the ball sitting real close to midfield, and now it only allows them maybe 15, 20 yards to get in the field goal range to tie the game up. So again, strategy was all playing itself out in the way that the defense, was playing throughout the entire game, not the final couple drives, that they can pin them back and then ultimately give their defense more of an opportunity, especially when Minnesota was running out of timeouts.
All right. Well, I would have went for it. You understand it. We won the game, so we don't have to dwell on it too much longer. But let's get over to the defensive side of the ball on the other side of this break.